Hi everyone. So let's continue our journey. So हम last video में we have already discussed कि how you can access the headers in the Nestjs controller. So in couple of these videos we are talking about how to access data which is being passed in body or headers or query parameter, path parameter. How we are accessing that in the controller जो method define कर रहे हैं using like @header, @query, @body, @path, @params. So on the same line, like you can also mix up, like I'm accessing headers and I am also accessing query. So this is what we were talking about. आप headers pass कर सकते हो using @header और I mean when you are passing header, how वो चीज़ को आप उस चीज़ को आप swagger में कैसे दिखाओगे? Like swagger documentation we have already covered. Like how you can use swagger to expose your API spec. So you can also use swagger for testing your APIs. तो अगर मुझे let's say my API is expecting some particular header, so how can I show this in the Swagger? So I can use this API header tag provided by Swagger and I can just use that. Or for the query parameter, you already know @query, you can specify a particular attribute or you can pass the DTO. Like if we are just creating this particular API, here we are passing the query parameters. Query parameter जो आप pass करते हो question mark name equal to key value pair. These all are query parameter. Path parameter like user ID. So this is the path parameter. This is query parameter. So how to access? इनको access करने का तरीका भी अलग-अलग है using @query, using @params. So here I'm accessing both the things and I'm trying to print. So this is how you can expose the header using X API origin. So जो API header property है, Swagger के using that tag, you can actually expose that particular header in your Swagger. So from Swagger also you can pass that HTTP header. So here you can see we are passing the header and the value. So this is how you can actually mix and match all the things. So here what we are doing is, let's say this is the Swagger tag which I'm using, and I can define that what all possible values of API header you can pass if there is a fixed set of values, and I can just specify the enum, and you can see this is the API header. तो आई जस्ट डिफाइंड इट एट अ कंट्रोलर लेवल. इसका मतलब है कि जो भी कंट्रोलर के अंदर जो भी मेथड है HTTP गेट पुट पोस्ट डिलीट ऑल द मेथड्स विल बी पासिंग दिस हेडर. अब आपका हेडर कुछ भी हो सकता है बेस्ड ऑन योर रिक्वायरमेंट एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. So now we can also see how you can pass query parameters. Like here I'm passing app.dev and this is the name and rating are the query parameters. So when you hit the API, you can see the name and query both are appended in the URL. That means these are query parameter and I'm returning in the response body. You can see here and how I'm accessing it using @query params and maybe some class. I mean, when we want to do the validation, then you can create a DTO class and you can use a class validator and class transformer to validate this object. ये इनको important है, but not every time you want to validate. So just create a class or interface that okay, this contains two different properties. और अगर आपको एक particular property access करनी है, like the line 39, latest movies, you can also specify a query parameter for individual property. Like name के लिए query in the bracket I'm just specifying name. This will give me the name query parameter. Rating, this will give me the rating parameter. Or you can create this interface or DTO class and you can get all these inside this object. Right, this is also the way using just specifying the name, and this is also the way where you are just specifying key value pair. So all the query parameters will be in the params. So here you can see I'm passing all these parameters. So album query parameter, currently it's an interface, so it's not exposed in the Swagger. So मैं already ये Swagger पे हम discuss कर चुके हैं कि like what all different annotations you can use so that आपका जो request body है या query parameter है, path parameter है, उस Swagger में भी दिखने लग जाए. So it's very easy कि भाई okay, this is how I need to hit the API. So I will just specify the name. What I want is these query parameters needs to be available. So export class, first of all this would need to be class and you can just specify these two parameters and then use this in your query params like name and size. And here I'm using just a params. So param will be an object which will give you which will give us the title and the size, and the same we are returning. So you can see when you hit this, we are getting the title and the size. Okay, simple message, title and size. So here we that is a validation part, how you validate it. Another part is how you pass the query parameter using individual query parameter, or you can create a object, query object, which will provide you all the query parameters which are being passed. Okay, so this is all about how you can access the query parameter in the Nest.js.